Hi, Scarlett. You know your assignment 2 must have been built from scratch. I know that's the harder way to go. I also observed that you're giving it a 3D effect, sort of like cartoonish block letters, and that is appealing. Note that often the first assignment of the week is kind of a cut and dry one, and it's the second assignment of the week where you can invest a lot of creativity. You know, the reason I mention that is because as much as this is an interesting composition, it misses the point with the assignment. Now, maybe you'd like to look at Ashley's below. She also built her assignment 2 from scratch, but the idea is that you're showing one vertical bar as being over the horizontal one as being under, and the third in the center as being ambiguous, but with a mix of the two colors. And actually, I'd say all of these look like the ambiguous area of overlap. Now, on to assignment 3. Well, I noticed that transparency bears some resemblance to that really nice digital color wheel that you made with a square with a hole cut from the center of it. I do have to be the rectangle police here. All shapes used were intended to be rectangles. Um, Now, let's see, with depth, you have the idea. Clearly, the concept is understood. Here, there might be more creativity, and also you might like to use the grid to line things up. For vibration, we don't have constant value, uh, but another thing is that if you look at the example given, you'll find that the colors vary from stripe to stripe, even though they're all fully saturated. And that was a way of including some variety. Also, I want you to look at the top edges of your bars and the bottom two, and observe that things should line up. One way to solve that is to crop the whole design a tad. Hi, Ashley. I can see that you created your assignment 2 from scratch. And it might be that the spacing could be a little more regular with regard to that. For instance, the extra area of purple bar at left and right could be the same, and the two purple sections dividing the areas of interval and center could be same width as well. I think that your area of overlap colors are right on. Now, let's take a look at assignment 3. Well, with transparency, that's pretty interesting how that blue shape, that blue cyan shape toward top is opaque, and we're not seeing any of the green diagonally oriented shape through it. I like that. I like to see the variety in opacity there. As I continued to consider this, I realized then that the yellow shape must be on top of the green one. So you've done a nice job at using transparency to demonstrate depth. Now, could we want for more complexity or interest with the arrangement of the rectangles? I think maybe. And the same goes with the depth piece. Now, you have created a sense of depth, yet it's through overlapping and not through use of colors, because technically that green, saturated as it is, would be a color that would show things in the foreground. The green should advance because the effect of overlapping is so great. It doesn't. So the darker colors can be toward the rear, the desaturated colors can be toward the rear, and the saturated ones can be what's intended to be in the foreground. This is a way to use color theory to create the illusion of depth. Now, the vibration piece is quite good. When I render this in grayscale, I note that the yellow and green are very similar in value, so you might think that you could make a design with those exclusively, eliminating the red magenta color. Shauna, good colors for your areas of overlap in assignment 2. Could it be that the template is falling apart a little bit though? Now, with assignment 3, these make a nice set because they're all the same size. Transparency is a marvelous example. It seems like this was put together with great care with the help of the grid and guides, and I admire the way that the yellow is behaving differently when it traverses the narrow magenta shade stripes in center compared to the thicker ones toward top and bottom. As well, the blue for the horizontals there is just a nice choice altogether, a nice color set. Let's take a look at the depth piece. This is nice because of its complexity. Now, I was wondering how the design could be better integrated. One thought I had was maybe those rectangles in the diagonal line could be the same size and proportion as the center rectangle in the concentric sets. Another thought I had was, what if one of the concentric sets was, as it is, a series of variations on magenta, and the other was a series of variations on violet, and the diagonal set of rectangles that joins them changes from a magenta hue towards a violet hue as it connects the two. Now, let's take a look at vibration. You know, a lot of people feel that strong use of black creates the same vibration effect as what we're talking about in the theory this week. However, we are aiming for something pretty specific here according to the lectures and what was presented in them. So what you'd want to fulfill this is warm and a cool color, colors of similar value, and colors that are fully saturated. I would omit black entirely for part 3 and assignment 3. One more thing is, it feels as though this design is cut off on top. It'd be nice to see the design centered in the composition. Hi Tricia, I can see that outside of the areas of overlap, all of the colors that are meant to match do match exactly per RGB color picker test. Now, there are a couple matters here, right? What we want to have is the appearance of green stripe over yellow, an ambiguous color in the area of overlap at center, and yellow over green at right. And generally you've got this. I think one thing we have to bear in mind is that when colors are mixed according to the digital wheel, the result might be a little different from what we expect as we're more accustomed to the paint color wheel. Still, I'm suspicious about that color of overlap in the center. It doesn't feel quite right. If we've got yellow and green mixing, shouldn't we get some sort of yellow-green, I wonder? So while this is generally okay, it might be that you could adjust things more for what the eye sees.